When I was growing up, my dad was constantly in prison, and so was my older brother. My older brother is a huge figure in real estate now. Real estate was his basketball. So he got out of prison and was in some program. He had to work somewhere. He ended up working as a loan officer and ended up being this huge real estate mogul, right? But at the time, he was 25 years old and he was wholesaling real estate. And I had a teammate in high school whose father was a doctor, and he drove a 2006 Range Rover. And this is in the year 2006. But my brother, who was 25 and in real estate, who was a realtor, loan officer, and wholesaling at the time before it was all big like it is now, also drove a 2006 Range Rover. But that moment was when I realized, okay, this person is a doctor. My older brother's only 25 and he's making that kind of wealth through real estate. So I seen that and then went along with my basketball career, obviously. But when it came time for me to realize, hey, you're 25, you're 26, you're done playing professionally, you're ready to be wealthy. What are you going to do? That was the avenue. That was my first time experiencing like actual real wealth.
What is Agent Ignite? Are you wondering how you can make more money and create a competitive advantage for yourself and your clients in this ever competitive real estate industry? Agent Ignite is the key to furthering your knowledge, establishing your expertise, and positioning yourself as a go-to expert. They deliver new and relevant knowledge so you can expand your clientele, close more deals, and ultimately increase income. Each month features a new guest speaker who will deliver on what is most relevant for your business. As a member of DMAR's Market Trends Committee, an avid champion for building wealth through real estate, and a self-proclaimed data geek, Nicole will share market trends and commentary that will add value to you and your clients. Staying up to date on industry statistics, coupled with niche topics delivered by industry experts, will help you motivate your buyers and sellers and make you more money. Sign up for the next Agent Ignite session at theruthteam.com/events.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today, our guest is Art Morrison III. And after a rocky childhood, Art went on to play college basketball at a D2 school on scholarship and eventually to professional basketball in Portugal. Following his retirement from basketball, he single-handedly built a basketball camp for children. And while still trying to figure out how he would build his wealth, Art found real estate and did over $2.5 million in transactions his first 2 years. Today, Art and his team have done over $6 million in transactions across 15 properties in 3 years or less. So just a great story. I love this story that Art has, and really, some tough beginnings, right? Tough background. And he'll go into some different things about that, but how that has helped shape him, right? And many times those difficult things shape us in ways that in the moment, it's so hard to see that, right? And I can look back and see so many things, even as a very young man, the things that, I thought at the time were just going to kill me, helped shape me and push me in ways, helped me to be an entrepreneur many years later. But he goes through many things, even going into professional ball and how that shaped him and pushed him into real estate. Even his brother, who has an amazing story and into real estate success as well. But Art shares how he, obviously deals with this, no fear, of failing, but just pushing through the branding component that he pushed so hard with. And even just, skipping the thing of how we always feel like, we got to have that resume in the beginning to get started, but how he just, he said, that's just not important. But he pushed to have a mentorship. He pushed, similar to professional ball or any professional athlete, man, they're going to have mentors. They're going to have people around him. And he elaborates on that as well. So I enjoyed this conversation with Art. It's interesting, just the professional athlete mentality to entrepreneurship. And we've had numerous professional athletes on the show now, and just hearing that similarity and how that shapes them into entrepreneurship. So I know you're going to learn a lot today. Well, I don't know too many professional basketball players, but I'm grateful to have one on the show today who has, he's turned to real estate, right? And he's going to help us to think about how he really just hit the ground running, and he was able to push through many limiting beliefs that hold so many of us back. I think that, I see that in professional. I have interviewed a number of professional athletes now that have come to real estate. It's interesting. The mindset behind a professional athlete, right? And somebody that's in the military, I think similar, right? Just the things that are taught, going through some difficult things. You got to be willing to hustle, all those things. Our guest today is going to help us think through a lot of that. I'm looking forward to hearing more about his story. So Art, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm pumped to share whatever values and nuggets I can about real estate and just about, overall character and business. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Art, give us a little bit about who you are, though. Give us a little bit about that professional basketball background, because I want to tie that a little bit into, that mindset, that shift into real estate, how that helped you. And then I want to jump into, your real estate business and how you've just crushed it.
For sure. So my name is Art Morrison III. I'm from New Jersey. I grew up, I guess you would consider lower class. So I have a little tough background. Basketball was my first love and first escape, like many youth across America find. I was pouring everything I had into basketball. That was all I cared about, barely cared about school, especially as I started getting into high school. Parents were going through a tough divorce. So I actually ended up going to 5 different high schools, which any of you know about college sports, that poses a problem when you're trying to get recruited to go to college. But I ended up getting a scholarship and going to college, which is pretty cool. I had a decent career there. I actually missed 2 years, and college is only 4 years, but I missed 2 years of college due to an ACL injury my senior year. And then my freshman year, I actually missed the entire freshman year because I went to 5 high schools and my credits were all wonky and I had to sit out a year. So I actually only played 2 years of college basketball, but I did pretty well. I was at the Division II level. I did pretty well, ended up playing professional basketball. So I kind of sped along that story, but overcoming all those obstacles made me to my core, an entrepreneur who just wanted to take control of their fate and future. So when I was playing professional basketball, it didn't take long for me to realize that it was just a job. And whether it was injury, whether it was a shady agent, whether it was your team not having enough money or losing a sponsor, I didn't have control. All right. So I was bouncing. My career was only 2 years. I was bouncing teams. I was losing contracts. A lot was going on in that 2 years. And I said, wait a second, I don't like this. I already went through this in high school and in college, not doing this again. So I started a youth basketball organization, leveraging my talent in basketball because that was all I knew, teaching that to kids. And it went really well, but there was a ceiling there, right? We're talking about youth basketball, youth sports. And for me, I had bigger aspirations financially. And I knew about this real estate thing. I knew it was everything. I knew you couldn't sleep, eat, worship, whatever. You couldn't do anything without real estate. We're all in real estate. As we record this podcast, we're in it. So understanding that, I took those same talents that I learned in my upbringing in sports, my same burning desire to be an entrepreneur, and I applied it to real estate, and we hit the ground running, as you said. And since then, we've grown a pretty popular and I say fun fix and flip company in New Jersey, where we leverage syndicating and other people's money and pulling all my resources that I have throughout my whole career to flip as many houses as possible. And now we're transitioning into bigger projects, and we're really excited about it. So
that's awesome. I love hearing stories like that. And it's interesting. This has nothing to do with real estate, but it's probably not common that somebody plays only 2 years of ball in college and then goes professional. Right?
At all. I mean, you asked me what was my superpower, right? And I wrote a book. For those who don't know, I'm an author, and I wrote a book. This was about 4 years after I played professionally, because I was just laying in bed and I had the same realization you just had. I said, how many people go play professional at any level that only played 2 years of college ball? And just in recognizing that was amazing, kind of propelled me into what ended up bringing me here on this podcast, doing more and more amazing things. But it took that initial realization of, hey, like, I am superhuman. The name of the book actually is Overcome, the Key to Unlocking Your Superhuman. That's the title of the book. So, but anywho, yeah, it is amazing. So once I got a taste of that, I'm like, oh, I can do amazing things. Let's go. Let's apply this to real estate,
Yeah. So all those hard things, though, I think just shape you as a man, right, or woman. But I just mean in your case, I just can look back over many hard things, even as a young man, very young man, that I'm thankful for now looking back, right? And the time it was difficult, but yeah, it just helped shape me in so many ways. The Lord just used those to help build me, create me to be an entrepreneur, I think, in so many ways. But I want to get to, you also realize that, you'd accomplished so much. You were a professional player now, but you realized that it was a job, and you didn't care for that. And so Tell us, where did real estate come in? How did you figure out that, hey, this could be something that can, build a legacy or wealth or whatever? Because you could have gone and started another kind of business, of some kind. What was it? How did you first hear about real estate? What was it that triggered that desire to go in that direction?
Yeah. So in my community, there's only a few times you see extreme success. And it's when you're a professional athlete, or if you're in music, right?
When you say community, you mean like where you were raised?
Yeah. Even like the Black community, or poor communities, right? Like people who I'm talking about extreme success, driving nice cars, having larger houses. That's typically where you see people like make it out, we say, right? So when I was younger, it's one of my favorite stories. The way I got introduced into real estate was because when I was growing up, my dad was constantly in prison, and so was my older brother. My older brother is a huge figure in real estate now. Real estate was his basketball. So he got out of prison and was in some program. He had to work somewhere. He ended up working as a loan officer and ended up being this huge real estate mogul, right? But at the time, he was 25 years old and he was wholesaling real estate. And I had a teammate in high school whose father was a doctor, and he drove a 2006 Range Rover. And this is in the year 2006. But my brother, who was 25 and in real estate, who was a realtor, loan officer, and wholesaling at the time before it was all big like it is now, also drove a 2006 Range Rover. And I came out of practice and I got in the wrong car one time. I jumped in the car and it was like my teammate's dad. But that moment was when I realized, okay, this person is a doctor. My older brother's only 25 and he's making that kind of wealth through real estate. So I seen that and then went along with my basketball career, obviously. But when it came time for me to realize, hey, you're 25, you're 26, you're done playing professionally, you're ready to be wealthy. What are you going to do? That was the avenue. That was my first time experiencing like actual real wealth.
Wow. What a story. I love that. That's incredible. I love that. I love that your brother, sounds like, prison obviously is, what a horrible thing to have to go through, but he came out of that and done well. Right. And I love that story, even how that affected you. You could see that happening, at 25, man, he's making it happen. And you came back to it, after your professional career. And so let's jump into now, leveraging your network, your professional player. Tell us how you then made it into real estate. How did you start to grow your business? What did that look like? I think you started with wholesaling, and using other people's money. Share a little bit about that. And I want to jump into how you then push to, doing it without fear. And then also the branding component that I feel like you've done probably very well, better than most of us. And that's helped you to move fast.
Absolutely. So that story I just told was 2006 or 7-ish. I didn't get into real estate till 2018, didn't close my first deal till 2019. And the way I got into it was when I finally decided to jump into it. My older brother is 10 years older than me, just so everyone knows for the sake of the story. So even when I decided to get into it, I wasn't loud about it because I didn't want it to seem like I was like chasing after him or following in his footsteps. I had my own brand. I already had my youth basketball organization at the time. So I was actually living in my best friend's basement. I knew about real estate. I've been studying the markets. I've been practicing running numbers. I've been doing a little bit of marketing to find deals, leveraging like social media and like bandit signs, and not even good bandit signs, but whatever. And I was on a walk and one of my neighbors put a for sale by owner sign in the window. So with all this studying and preparation I've been doing, I knew what a motivated seller looked like. So obviously I walked up to him and I asked him if he's selling the property. He was. Got him to take the sign out of the window, told him we'd build a contract tomorrow, be an attorney review. I used probably every bit of my little real estate glossary at the time to get this person to believe that I was the solution to them wanting to sell their house. It was a perfect motivated seller story. Their mom passed away, left them the house, and they didn't want to rent it out. They just wanted cash for it. It was like the most fairy tale real estate story ever. But with that deal, I knew it was opportunity. So I went to everyone in my network who was in real estate. My older brother, a pastor of mine who's in real estate, everyone who I knew, and basically everyone like got excited about the deal. So I knew it was a good deal. I did my numbers right. And I ended up partnering with someone who's my partner today, but he mentored me on this first deal. I could have wholesaled him for the deal, made $40,000 and been out of my friend's basement just like that. But I chose a different route and he let him pay me $15,000, but then also pay me $5,000 a month. So pay me $15,000 in the form of $5,000 a month. So It's way different than a $40,000 check. But the deal was that I would shadow him on the deal. I'd be on the LLC. I'd be able to use that as my experience, so I can later get funding. And it allowed me to shadow him and learn my first fix and flip. This was in September. We closed in November of 2018. So fast forward to 2019, I think I used some of that money to get my first multifamily, right? I posted that deal on Instagram and someone else sent me another deal. So then I got my very own fix and flip. And then in 2020, I think we bought 5. In 2021, we did 10. And now here we are at the top of 2022. So that was kind of how we got into it. But the biggest thing for me was that I knew opportunity. I seen opportunity from a real estate perspective. And then even after I got the deal under contract, I seen more opportunity to learn. I seen opportunity to get experience. I knew the value of all these things from my research and seeking mentorship and just kind of overall understanding the game. So from there, once I started finding myself in these deals and these, like, I call them makeshift syndications early on in my career, I was also building a brand around it, which is what you just asked me about. So I wasn't just doing it as Art Morrison and like, look at me, I'm a former pro, just doing some real estate, as everyone calls it. I knew to build an actual brand, an organization, a company around it to give myself even more credibility. And then when you asked me about leveraging my network, I literally took that brand, that organization, that company I created that at the time only did 3-4 deals. And I took that to my friends and family, my social media following, my youth basketball organization, parents of kids that I coach, right? I always joke, if they trust me with their kids, they'll definitely trust me with their money. And we started partnering with them in 2020, and we were able to, raise a good amount of capital. Enough to do the 10 to 15 deals that we did in that period of time. So it all came together from my knowledge and experience and mentorship to just networking to also branding, right? If I would have went to them just, hey, I'm thinking about doing some real estate, it would have gone way different than, hey, I have this investing firm. It's called United Home Relief. We just launched. We've done 4 projects. Here's a deal deck. Here's a website. I'm big on all of those things. And whenever I'm teaching it to someone, I teach those same values because I know what it did for me versus if I would have just been like, hey, you're my cousin, right? You're family, right? I need some money to flip this house. No, my approach was of the utmost professionalism. And I think that anyone jumping into real estate, if they approach it with that level and that mindset, can achieve the same sort of success that we've achieved in such a short period of time.
Yeah. Speak to, how did you learn some of the branding techniques? What did you hire somebody? Did you just go try to educate yourself? How did you do that?
I didn't hire anyone. I educated myself because I'm obsessed with, this is such a good question. You're stumping me. I'm just obsessed with branding, whether it's personal branding or some of my favorite people, celebrities. I love them because of their brand, right? I was a huge Kobe Bryant fan. I loved everything that his brand stood for. I'm a Jay-Z fan. I love right? So, but then you think about Nike, Apple, these are some of my favorite brands, not because their product is amazing, which it is, right? You got to deliver a good product, but I just love the way that they present themselves. And so I knew, okay, you're calling yourself an entrepreneur. We all know what a crappy business looks like. We know, we have friends and family who their logo is just unprofessional, or their email still says Gmail at the end of it. We know, right? It's okay. So for me, I just knew, hey, if I presented my company the way I would want Apple to present to me, we're going to be successful to some bit. I don't know. I've just always been obsessed with that presentation of the business. I feel like it just added so much more credibility, and it's a credibility that I wanted and kind of always have chased in basketball, even, right? Like playing professionally. I want you to look at me like a professional ball player. I don't want you to look at me like some guy who plays basketball, so. Sure.
Tell us, now that you've jumped into real estate, you've been wholesaling, you've been raising money, talk about, when would you say somebody should syndicate in their real estate career, right? Or when would you start raising money, or should they start wholesaling? What would be your just recommendations for somebody getting started and wanting to syndicate maybe, but can they do it right away, or what would you say?
For sure. So I love to say that everyone can just start off syndicating. I think I had a little bit of a cheat code in having mentorship around me and having mentorship and experience from an older brother, as well as having entrepreneur experience with my basketball company. So I think it's safe for someone to begin As an agent is always great, very educational. You can learn the industry that way. Wholesaling is great. And after you get those things that I just broke down, right? Your business professionalism, your branding, your mentorship is huge. Whether it's virtually with someone, whether it's free in the form of podcasts like this one or YouTube or whatever, but like really seek the mentorship, buy into someone else's model and learn that model. And once you're done with that, then you're pretty much ready to, because once you have the information, it's just about taking action. I know a lot of people like to baby step their way into things. I would love to be a fan of that as well. But being someone who's overcome a lot of stuff, I realize that whether you jump all the way in or whether you baby step your way in, you can't control what's going to happen to you. I can't control getting hurt in college playing basketball. I can't control parents being divorced and going to 5 schools and some of those things. So I just decided, hey, I'm not going to kind of baby step or, my way into anything because it's not promised. Right. So with that mentality, I'm always like, envision where you want to be and work backwards. Right. And that'll like get you there as fast as you hope to
reverse
get there.
Engineer.
Reverse engineer whatever you see yourself as. So if you look at yourself in the mirror and you see yourself as this huge Grant Cardone level syndicator, then you need to reverse engineer there. You don't need to see that in the mirror and then look away and say, well, no, that's too big. Let me start wholesaling. Or let me just get my real estate license and see where it takes me. No. You should take control and kind of reverse engineer. So to answer your question, though, because I kind of ducked the answer of the question, I recommend everyone start with mentorship of some sort. It doesn't matter if it's a broker or someone in real estate who's doing what you want to do. Figure out a way to develop a relationship with them. I don't care. Sometimes you got to pay mentors. Sometimes you got to buy their course. Whatever it is, seek mentorship where you have direct access to someone doing exactly what you aspire to do.
Yeah, I love that. It's such good advice. I could not agree more. Even if you have to pay for it, it's an investment in yourself, right? People go spend,
all day.
Hundreds of thousands often, on a college tuition, right? And then they go work at a $30,000, $40,000 a year salary position, but then they won't go spend 20, 30,000, say on a really good mentor. And man, one deal can more than pay for it, right? But more than that, more than just the paying for it component is the education experience and the network of that mentor, right? That you're gaining is so valuable.
Yeah.
I know the listeners have heard me talk about that, but I just can't stress it enough. And Art's a great example of that. Tell us a little bit about now, though, how real estate has changed your family, right? And I think you've talked before maybe about having a real estate family fund and those things. What does that look like and how it's affected your family?
Absolutely. So my brother and I have partnered on deals. We've been able to, I don't want to use the word employ, but just kind of partner and bring in other family members. My girlfriend works alongside me as well. She works our acquisitions. She has her real estate license and has made over $1 million in real estate, gross commissions. My mom just got her real estate license that she's excited about. She hasn't closed any deals, but we talk once a week. She's one of my mentees and she just has something to be excited about where she can, be an entrepreneur. I mean, she still works a full-time job, wants to quit. So I said, hey, I have a way for you to do so. And that part is exciting, just giving everyone kind of a hope. I don't think, like house flipping is something that everyone loves it because you see it so much on TV. You turn on HGTV and you just see the transformation. No one ever thinks like, I want to do it or I can do it until it's taught or broken down to them. The majority of people don't even understand that there's lenders that'll give you pretty much all the money to flip a house. You just got to kind of know what you're doing. So just opening everyone in my inner circle's eyes to some of these things, give them, I won't get too deep and say hope, but it just gives them a certain level of excitement. Like, hey, I can do this. We can all do it together. Breaking down, this is kind of where we'll segue into syndication, but breaking down how it's a team effort. There's so many different roles that someone can play. And the more of us that kind of band together, the larger deals we can do. Me by myself with like my girlfriend and maybe one other person. Yeah, we'll be flipping houses for a long time. Sure. I'm sure we'll be good at it. But, myself with pretty much all of my network and everyone else who I know in real estate, I know that we can buy a, $3 to $10 million mid-rise and have 50 units in our name. And now we pass that down to our kids. Like I understand that concept, that it's a team effort. So it's affected my family in that way. Like everyone sees an opportunity to work together in a super lucrative industry where no one has to be greedy, right? Like everyone's going to eat. There's so much money moving around in real estate. I always joke. I say, yeah, you go become a title agent. You go become a real estate agent. You go do loans, and we'll all make several thousand every single deal, because so much. I look at the HUD and so much money is going out every time I buy a house. This could be going to people on my team or within my inner circle. So
I love that thought process of even, if there's family members who are qualified to even learn some of those things and do it, well, why not? Right. And create that opportunity and grow your team at the same time.
Yeah.
Tell us about what's your best source right now for meeting new investors?
Social media all day. Social media, and then mentorship. People who have the same mentor as me, or people who I mentor, are the best kind of partners, because now I can ensure that we share the same philosophies, because I taught or shared my philosophies. And it creates a real tight inner circle of investors. I'm sorry, you're talking about investors like fellow investors, or investors from a capital raise perspective?
Yeah, just like if you're raising money for a deal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love social media. That's just my go-to. Again, I know how to build a social media brand. I'm a millennial, so I'm pretty good at social media. And we've experienced extreme success leveraging social media and online branding and an online presence to raise
What would
capital.
be a couple of tips around social media presence for the listener? Maybe the top 2 platforms of choice, and maybe a couple of tips of how you use them.
Certainly. Instagram and Facebook are for sure the top 2. TikTok is still pretty young to be doing that. YouTube is a different kind of beast. It's more like for consuming. Instagram and Facebook are for engaging. So Facebook has, and I'll speak in layman terms if anyone doesn't know, there's this thing called groups on Facebook, and you can literally join groups of people who are looking to invest. You can join groups of people who are already raising capital, other investors, and now you can partner with them. So Facebook is amazing for that. And then Instagram, I believe, leads in time spent. So it's like the ratio of how much time is spent, how many people are on it. So there's constant eyes on Instagram. So if you can create an attractive brand who's providing value to people, which essentially, if you're raising capital, there's some sort of offering involved, right? They're not just giving it to you. So if you're providing value through a quality offering, you can raise capital pretty quickly, and people are going to really back you because they're on there to engage and they're looking for value and you're providing it. So yeah, those 2 platforms are the go. And it's easy to grow if you're active. It's just one of those things. You spend time on it. It's intentional. I tell anyone who I teach or mentor, it's like, hey, you want to, even if you have to hire someone or get a younger family member or someone who's already on there, to run your social media page, engage with people on there, because there's a lot of opportunity there. There's deals. I've closed several deals, houses that came through Instagram direct messages, and I've raised quite a bit of capital and found some of my long-lasting partners on Instagram. So those 2 platforms.
Art, what about a couple of, or some daily habits that you have, that you're disciplined about, that have helped you achieve this level of success?
I drink a ton of water. I go on walks. I like the sunlight. I feel like we're made to like be in the sun and consume that energy. It really helps my brain work. I eat super clean. You won't catch like a ton of snacks around and things like that. I'm very intentional about what I put in my body, because I just think all that fuels my brain. And one thing that I will say that I'm not good at, so I'm encouraging everyone else to do, spend time with yourself, relax, have an off switch at some point. I work way too late. My brain's always working. The back of my neck is always sore because I'm just like, my brain is just like always in overdrive. If that's one thing I could change about my habits, would definitely be that, having an off switch, saying, nope, this has to wait till tomorrow. Now it's my time to breathe, meditate, pray, whatever, rest, sleep even. Right.
Yeah. I think that's an entrepreneurial complex that we all struggle with,
They're like always trying to work. Like, bro, you need to rest to work. And like they go hand in hand.
That's right. Shut it off. Be with the kids, right? Be with the family, or when you're there.
It looked like you weren't trying to hear that one.
What would you say is the number one thing that's contributed to your success?
Perseverance. Just like so many people I mentor create in their head why they can't do something. It's like the weirdest thing that we as humans do. It's like, you just told yourself why you couldn't do something. That's so dumb. Let someone else tell you why you couldn't do it. And even then you should push through it. So I always tell the story, when I was going to play professional basketball, I did so without an agent. It was hard to get an agent because I had a torn knee. So I literally posed as my own agent, set up an agent account on this platform that you can reach teams, neither here nor there, and emailed over 3,000 teams myself. And I didn't have a CRM or anything, right? I was literally copy paste in the Gmail app, sending out hundreds of emails a day. And I only got 2 contract offers. And one of them, obviously, I accepted, but I did all that for only 1 contract offer. And now you can never say my name without saying professional basketball player next to it. I won't allow you because I put in so much work to play that season and a half or 2 seasons of professional basketball, but I persevered through so much to get there. So like anyone who's listening to this or looking to start real estate or start anything, just push through whatever it is that you think is in the way. It's not really in the way. The only thing that could stop you is yourself. So
how do you like to give back?
Working on this, it used to be through my youth basketball organization, and I unfortunately had to scale back to focus on the real estate company. So I personally don't give back through the mentorship of youth like I used to. I have coaches hired who do it. So I want to fill that void. I'm missing it. I guess I am kind of doing it through coaches and younger coaches still, but it was nothing like being on the court with young men, because we were all boys. We didn't have girls. Being on the court with young men and sharing with them the same way I'm sharing with you in this audience, but I'm sharing it with a 9-year-old how basketball is going to shape them, like kind of foreseeing and keeping them motivated and pushed. I do miss that a lot. But when I do give back, that's my number one way, is just directly with the kids, man. The youth are the future.
Yeah, love that. Art, it's been a pleasure to meet you and have you on the show. I mean, just really hearing how, your basketball career shaped you in so many ways. And even before that, I think just a tough background, man, that just shapes people in ways.
Yeah.
You're set up then to do more tough things, right? And to deal with tough things. And you've done that, right? And I can just see that in you, and now pushing through real estate and your real estate business, being an entrepreneur. It's just incredible what you've accomplished, what you've been able to accomplish. And even hearing your brother's story, I think it's so encouraging as well. But you jumped into real estate, you did it, just not focusing on the fear, right? Or what you can't do, but what you focused on, what you can do. You saw how other people are doing things. And the branding component, I mean, I think even before we started recording, you talked about, you skipped the part of thinking you had to have the resume, right? Before you even get started, or, in the beginning, and you just went out and made it happen. And you surrounded yourself with mentors. And I think that in basketball, you do that as well, right? I mean, you have other people you look up to. I was never a professional basketball player. Anybody that knows me knows better than that. But I just think you probably did, right? When you're a professional player, you're going to have mentors, right?
Absolutely. I mean, even growing up, you don't know them, but you pick a mentor. So it's like, I want to be Allen Iverson. I want to be Michael Jordan. Now, for me, it was Kobe Bryant. So you're already identifying someone who's where you want to be, who's playing how you want to play. And then you can model after it. You do it as a kid, just looking at your parents. They're your first mentors. And you're like, have you ever been in the mall and seen a dad and his son, and the son walks like his dad, literally has the same walk? It's like, how does the kid know to walk like, is that genes or did he learn it? I don't know. We'll never know, but it happens, and it's because they're the first example. So find yourself an example and chase it.
Yeah, I love that. Your parents are your first mentors, and then that grows, and you find people that are where you want to go. And we did the same thing in real estate for sure. Art, thank you again for your time. Just an incredible story, and just your path to real estate success. Tell the listeners how they can get in touch with you and learn more about your business.
For sure. Art Morrison III on Instagram, right? I talk about social media. It wouldn't be right if I didn't drive you over there at Art Morrison III. That's Art Morrison III, obviously as in the third. And then my website is artmorrison3rd.com. Pretty much everything's up there. It talks about my basketball company, my real estate company, my story, my book. I encourage everyone to go down. The book is free on my website, artmorrison3rd.com. It's an ebook. Download it, get inspired. It's broken down like a self-help book that allows you to take notes on yourself. So it's like a self-reflective kind of thing. It's not just like my bio, my biography. It's a really helpful book, and it's changed a lot of lives. So I encourage everyone to go read that. And that's all. Just keep it at those two. Go follow me on Instagram. Check out my website.
Thank you for being a loyal listener of the show. Please subscribe and share it with your friends. We want to help you become the passive investor you've always wanted to become, but also the operator you've always wanted to become. We want to be the number one resource for your real estate investing journey. But go to lifebridgecapital.com where you can start investing in real estate today.